Are we live now?
Ho, ho, ho. Happy end of year. We're doing it. We're all doing it.
You missed the memo, Andy.
You didn't know? You didn't know this is a thing?
We literally spoke seconds ago, and this was not We've got one viewer. Tweet it out so more people know that we're doing this again. We tell people we're going to do this all week, but you got to tweet. You got to tweet the stuff. And then, Patrick, once you tweet it, then we'll do some retweets and stuff like that.
Oh, I just sent the tweet. So welcome our first viewer. We will do a little retweeting. Bring more people in. We have the amazing.
Boop, boop, boop. Wait, is that me? Maybe it's someone else.
No,
sorry.
You're the amazing.
We also have Andy. We also
right, exactly. Like Andy's here too, and you said amazing, and I took credit for it right away. But I don't know. I shouldn't have probably done that.
Austin doesn't know me. That's why I'm not that amazing.
Austin's like, wait, he's going to talk about me. Yes, it was about you, Austin. Yes, the amazing Austin's here. We also obviously have the amazing Andy as well.
Hey, y'all. Hey, C West is in the house. That dude's on Twitter all the time. I like your responses.
Oh, what's up, C
West? What are we rapping about here? I want to throw my tweet out. What are we doing? Christmas, crypto.
I posted a tweet in our chat over here. We're talking about whatever we want to talk about. Year wrap up, man. Like
what were the biggest moments of the year for Web3, for smart contracts, for Ethereum, for Chainlink, for the community, all that good stuff. And we have some really good stuff that we've talked about the past couple of days, but there's a few that we haven't touched on that I wanted to get into as well. So it's that kind of thing. We want to hear your reflections, especially from like ETH Foundation perspective. You know, just there's so much growth, there's so much craziness that happens in this space, just to kind of get a take and make sure we're not, in one solo little Chainlinky bubble. But that we're talking to more people.
Side, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
I don't speak like for the EF either. Like there's a lot of gigabrains there that are like way beyond me. I'm just doing like scaffold ETH tooling, developer onboarding, stuff like that. So tooling heavy though. We've seen a lot of cool advances over the last year. It probably wasn't the biggest year for tooling, honestly. That was probably last year. Mm-hmm. But this year has been a big year for tooling in terms of just like getting better and improving and just being easier to use and better error messages and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, right. With Solidity 0.8 came out, that was something we talked about a little bit on Monday with 0.8. Like I actually had that as like my second biggest moment of the year, which seems like it's not giving the year enough. Wait, developer wise, second biggest moment developer wise was 0.8 because like some of the error messaging got better. The removal of safe math, I feel like it was this like huge. Mm-hmm. Like to me, that was like the most significant. I'm like, thank God I don't have to deal with like using safe math for Uint 256 anymore. To me, that was like one of the biggest events. But I know for Scaffold ETH in particular, you were originally built on Truffle, and at some point you switched over to a hard hat. Was that this year or was that last year?
That was a long time ago. Like the transition for me was actually I used Truffle, hated it so much that I built my own. Really? So I used my own orchestration software for a long time and actually tried to push that as like, here is the orchestration software I recommend, along with, so it was Clevis and Dapparatus. It was basically the back-end orchestration, and then Dapparatus was like what Scaffold ETH is now, but Scaffold ETH uses Hard Hat. So I didn't ever really have Truffle in Hard Hat. We are looking for like, now we're getting to the point where there's a lot of developer optionality, and you kind of need that, right? Like the TypeScript, JavaScript argument. I just want every single tutorial that I put out to just be TypeScript and JavaScript, and you have a little choose your own adventure thing, just so I don't alienate you, right? So I feel like we're seeing that now with Scaffold ETH is like, let's make sure we have a Truffle version of Scaffold ETH because there are Truffle folks. Like there's going to be maxis in every different realm. Let's try to like not alienate anybody.
Yeah, for sure. Makes a lot of sense. And hello, chat. Transmissions 11. What's up, dude? Oh, you're in the chat. What's popping?
GM.
Yeah, GM. That's what's up. So we're for people who just got here, we're talking about the year, talking about developer tooling, we will be jumping into the comments. So if you have questions, like this is a really collaborative stream here. So if you have
transmissions would probably be shilling DApp tools.
Right? I was just about to say
tools for a while. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that he's here because I was literally about to talk about Foundry real quick. I mean, on the topic of tooling. They just came out. Have you played with it yet? That's like on my to-do list over break.
It's like Rust version of DApp tools from Georgios. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, have you worked with DApp tools at all? To me, it's like it's very command line. So I was like, when he was like, oh, it's a Rust implementation. I was like, am I going to need to know Rust to use it, maybe, or is it just going to be more command liney again? I don't know. I guess we'll find it. Oh, background switch.
Oh,
I haven't found the right one yet. I keep talking tooling. I'm gonna find like Christmassy holiday-based tools because I can't keep up on the conversation on tooling. But so, can you go over again for new people that are joining? Like what's this new thing that came out? And
yeah,
just as a heads up, and what we're doing, because we just had a few people join. So tell them what we're doing real quick.
Yeah, we're chatting. We're chatting about the year, wrapping up the year from a developer's perspective, though, which is hype as hell. So we were just talking about Foundry, which was a new tool that just kind of came out. So like Hardhat, Brownie, Truffle, these are all software development platforms where you can kind of test, deploy, do all your stuff around your smart contract that you need to do. And Foundry is one that just released from the Paradigm team, which is kind of like a re-implementation of this popular one. DApp tools used by Maker pretty extensively. And yeah, it's been something I've been wanting to check out as Rust becomes much more prevalent just kind of in the crypto community just overall, right? Like Solana, Terra, Polkadot, they're all kind of more Rust based. So I'm curious to see what like tooling around Solidity based platforms is going to look like. So Paradigm and Foundry is definitely something I've been meaning to check out. Has anybody in the chat used it? If anyone's well, obviously Transmissions, you've used it. He says it's absolutely blazing. If anybody has like an experience with it, so feel free to like post it in the chat.
Irvin's in the house too.
Irvin, what's up? Why isn't Austin wearing a Santa?
We didn't tell our guests that we were actually having a themed thing. We're just like, hey, come on YouTube, hang out.
I have no hats. I have nothing around here too. There's a cat sleeping there. I could do a cat hat. Yeah.
Patrick's going.
Oh wow, look at this. Yes.
I got like the boots and everything. I'm like,
amazing. A beard too. This is great. I'm so underdressed.
No, you look great, Austin.
My shirt is Moloch, like a spaceman decapitating Moloch.
Dear Santa, all I want is a katana for Christmas so I can decapitate
That's
Moloch.
right, katana and a robe of enlightenment.
Divine robes. Tippy has a good question.
What's up, Tippy?
It's holiday season. You go to a party. How do you explain your day jobs or your side jobs or whatever it is? Our jobs are in Web3 to normies who don't know any tech. They're very interested. They've heard about NFTs. They're skeptical. How do you talk about that? What's your approach, Austin?
I take the teacher angle. I say that I teach people how to build stuff. Like I definitely like gauge the like how far am I going to lean into. Sometimes I'll just say I do computer shit. It's just like computer shit, and it's like fine. Like the lady at the liquor store, I'm buying some beer. What do you do? Computer shit, and she's okay with that. But if it needs to be more in depth and I need to go into it, I usually take the angle of teaching. I usually try not to say crypto. I say like Web3. There's kind of rebranding there. We're trying to be less Ponzi schemey. I try not to say NFTs right now because I feel like I don't want to get an environmental argument. And there's just like a lot of stuff that like a lot of arguments I'm trying not to get into. So a lot of things that I say are just like, I am a teacher. I try to give developers tools who want to build things on Ethereum and Web3. I do computer shit. Exactly. Let me have my six pack, lady. Thank you.
You know, if you say, if I say like, oh, I work in crypto, then 9 times out of 10, it's like, all right, here's Doge. They bring up Dogecoin or Shiba or whatever it is. And it's about,
did you get rugged?
Valuations. It's about all the stuff that is part of the industry, and I think we need to face that. That's a reality, but that's not what I do. Like I don't talk about that. And so to separate that, then they're like, okay, well, what do you do? And so they go, oh well, I help promote Web3 ecosystem developers who have integrated the Oracle standard. They're asleep, they're dead, right? Like that's not for most people, and that's okay. So it's like a matter of judging who am I talking to? And sometimes like I know, okay, this person is interested for when it's family. This person will be interested. They want to know like what is the value proposition for an Ethereum or a Bitcoin or whatever it is. Others, I just do computers. I work in technology out of the home. I wear pajama pants most days. Like that's good there. So
it used to be cool too. I was talking to my wife about it. It used to be cool to work from home and get to wear sweatpants. Now it's like a mental disorder. Like you're like if you're still doing that, like there's like you got to go see someone for that.
That's too
but
funny.
I am.
I was gonna say the same thing though. Like when people say like, hey, like what do you do for work? Like, oh, like I literally say the exact same thing. I say I do computer shit because like if I go, oh, blockchain engineer, like some people are still like, oh, like what's that? And then if I go even weirder, if I say like, oh, developer advocate, like that's also like a whole can of worms. They're like, what is that? And especially tricky for Chainlink. Saying like, oh, decentralized oracles, like I first need to have them understand what a smart contract is in order to understand what the value of an oracle is, which is like a whole shebang. Although I will say my absolute favorite thing is when someone is genuinely curious, and usually I'll try to like feel them out. Like if they go like, oh, like yeah, like no, seriously, like I want to know, and then we have that conversation where I go, hey, you know, an example I give a lot is like a lottery. A centralized controlling body is going to control the lottery. Do you ever want to participate in a lottery like that where they could potentially be rugging you the entire time and you'll never know? And then I've had a number of conversations with that is the example. And they go, oh, and like that aha moment is like this, like, yes, welcome. Yeah. That's like my absolute favorite moment is when the light bulb clicks and like, okay, I get it. This makes sense. I see the value add.
The trust talk. So obviously like NFTs have been part of my, like, I try not to talk to NFTs too much, but then if I'm at the dinner party, someone's engaged, we've already broached the crypto thing, then NFTs are good to talk about ownership and that ownership pattern. And if someone was in control of that ownership pattern, they could take it away. And how would we build an ownership pattern where no one can take it away? But trust and escrow have been something that have been really good for me explaining things. Like Alice has some shoes, Bob has some money. Alice wants to sell those shoes to Bob, but Alice and Bob hate each other. They don't trust each other at all. They are actually adversarial and they want to steal from each other. How do Alice and Bob work? Well, usually there's an escrow. There's like this something in the middle, right, where Alice puts in the shoes, Bob puts in the money, and then it swaps it. But think of Ethereum like a vending machine that can kind of do that, and a vending machine that anyone can get to, and that we can program, and we can say it's going to take a pair of shoes, and if the pair of shoes weighs a certain amount, then it's going to give out the money. Like, so bringing up escrow and talking about something that's really like trust based, and people understand right away that like, oh, trusting or not trusting, and what happens when you don't trust, and how you have that middle layer, and what you have to trust within the middle layer, and how you only have to trust the code in this situation. It's definitely holiday party conversations for sure.
I have been getting good traction in conversation about NFTs, where when people ask me about them, I'll say, oh, hey, I'm in the industry. Did you know NFTs are not pictures? And then, a couple people are like, yeah, of course. Wait, what are they? And just like this idea of like, well, it's more than a picture. It can have a picture attached to it. And that whole thing is enough, like, just to spawn like, oh, that's curious. And we can have a conversation about pictures and what other kind of stuff. It's like, oh, well, there's, a domain name type of thing, an ENS address. What's that? And all of a sudden now I'm down the rabbit hole with them. It's like, oh, well, this is really interesting stuff being built in this way. And then I just run the conversation and we're not talking about token valuations anymore.
Or things like how someone can deploy an exact same NFT. Like, here's your NFT. Someone can deploy that exact same thing right next to it. And what decides which one is which? Well, the market decides. And there's this whole market impact and aspect here that's like totally mind-blowing for a developer, because we didn't even realize that, like, I've been building things over here in the DevOps world forever and never really put together that like the protocol could have money at the protocol. And so there's all this stuff that opens up with this when you start having the conversation. So this reminds me of just like DevOps in general. We're talking about developers and what the year has been like for developers and for Ethereum. With DevOps, it's actually needed now. We're finally getting traction, and we're getting so many users that Web 2 knowledge, like DevOps, like scaling, like some of this stuff that maybe just feels too Web 2-y for you. If you're a developer out there, we probably need that. Like when I click Wallet Connect and I wait 4-5 seconds for that server to answer, I know that those servers are having scaling problems, and that's a Web 2 problem. So we can bring Web 2 developers in too, right? Those skills translate very, very well from Web 2 to Web 3, and we just need more of those folks in here, and we need more smart engineers tackling some of these problems. And we have similar scaling issues in some areas of Web3, right?
I'm going to plug marketers too. We need more good marketers too.
Yep.
And it's a similar set
everybody.
of can you write and convey an idea correctly and in a compelling manner still? Can you dig and find the story? Do you know enough about the topic? You don't have to know everything about the topic. Can you learn enough about the topic to figure that out? And right now, it's really easy for our marketers to jump into the industry and do low-hanging fruit, shilly stuff. And so we get a bad rap. But we need, so I'm just jumping on top of there because it's not only technical people. And you know what? Actually, I've talked to a lot of technical people who they started out in a writing role. Patrick, I was just talking to Alex yesterday, and you brought him into Chainlink Labs to write and do documentation. And it was clear, like, oh, he knows enough to come in. He's now blockchain developer, smart contract developer for the Labs team. That pathway is fast right now because we need people. The industry needs people.
Yeah, like if you have any semblance of Solidity skills, you should start applying because there's a good chance you will get hired. Just because the space is like dying for Solidity devs. So any devs in the chat, all devs in the chat, your calling card. Here it is.
We got some good questions in the chat, but Awaki was here too, so we should give Gitcoin Grants Round a plug as well because he showed up and said, "Hey." Austin, do you got anything in the pipeline? Wait, hold on. Let me change the background. I found one that I wanted even better. Okay. Here we go.
I wanted to say, if isn't that nice? I wanted to say that if you are a developer, if you are trying to go from Web 2 to Web 3 and you're trying to figure this out, speedrun Ethereum is something that I'm trying to meme into existence. If you Google speedrun Ethereum, well, first of all, like speedruns are like video game speedruns, right? Where you fly through something and you learn it quickly. If you would like to speedrun and learn Ethereum, go to speedrun Ethereum or Google speedrun Ethereum, and there's this document that I have here. I don't know. Can I share a screen here? Is that yeah? Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm gonna make it happen. Let's see.
A little share screen button. Yeah.
Boom. It's probably gonna have like us. Do I need to do that? I probably need to do that, right? And then I need to bring up a new browser. All right. Here we go. Perfect, I'm ready. Perfect. So speedrun Ethereum. So first of all, like fundamentals, right? Ethereum.org.
Wait, Austin, you want to zoom in like a ton real quick?
Yeah. I got to spell Ethereum.org.
Okay.
Too. Here we go. How's that, right? Ethereum.org. Lots of stuff to learn there. That's a great place to get started. To get the fundamentals, I always shill checking out eth.build. It allows you to kind of just like quickly throw some stuff together and prototype any kind of, like right now, I'm using this right now to look at mainnet Ethereum, ETH build, and my custom chain to see, look at, they're all on different blocks. Oh, this guy's a little bit ahead of this guy. So not bad, but that's these guys back here behind me. I'm trying to watch them, but you can do things like explain key pairs and shit, right? Like here's a key pair, there's a private key. Here's an address. We can talk about how key pairs are used. This is just like for fundamentals. I go through and I have like a whole curriculum here where I talk through stuff, but it's also handy for a builder to be able to like throw, I don't even know, the transaction pool in here and sort by pending transactions and look for your MetaMask or something like that. So ETH build to get the fundamentals,
year, right? ETH build was
a few years ago. Yeah, it's a couple years old. Yeah,
I think so, the first videos that I watched was like, what is ETH? Or WTF is ETH.build.
Oh yeah,
because that is literally exactly what I was asking. I was like, what is this thing? And it was like Austin speedrunning ETH.build, and then like maybe 6 months later, I actually got to meet him, and that was like crazy. That was like super cool for me.
Word, yeah, this is a fun video to make. I would definitely recommend. I don't know how to share it. I bet if you just search WTF ETH build, yeah, I bet it was a really, really fun video to make, and I did it in one run, like. The whole audio is a single run, and the video is like packed together in a sitting. But yeah, I wish I did more of those. Anyways, okay, ETH dev speedrun. So if you Google speedrun Ethereum, you're gonna land on this curriculum that I've created that was based on like mentorship sessions. I would get on calls and we would talk through it, and I would find like what's sticking, what's not sticking. What do they need to know? And I built these challenges kind of around those sessions so they can go through. And it's really like you're learning the mental model by building things that are sort of the superpower of Ethereum, right? One of the first challenges is building a staking app that gets a bunch of adversarial parties to either stake or not. And you have this state machine that's like in a staking mode or in withdrawal mode. And you kind of like learn like, oh, this is why we use this is a very good use for smart contracts. And then there's just like a lot of gotchas in there too about kind of the ERC20 approved pattern is one of the first gotchas you need to learn. Yep. But also just like randomness and how randomness works, and going to VRF here somewhere. There's a Chainlink tutorial linking there. Learning how to build a DEX, right? Like you should know how to build like V1 Uniswap in Solidity pretty easily if you're a Solidity developer. It's actually very simple, and you should understand it. Tokens and swaps and lending and leverage. Signed messages, like signed messages are kind of a superpower within Ethereum. So it teaches you through how to do signed messages, how to recover them,
overpowered, yeah,
how to recover them in a contract and use meta transactions. And then kind of you finish off with like a multi-sig wallet, and then move on to just like learn everything from Solidity by example in terms of the hacks, like go through all those hacks. But what I wanted to show is, after all that long-windedness, I wanted to show Speedrun Ethereum. So this is a website that we're just now working on. It's totally in alpha mode. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. But it is those challenges, but it's set up in a way where you basically are creating your Web3 profile. You're kind of getting in here and you're building.
You want to zoom in a little bit here too, Austin?
Yeah. It's those same challenges. It's the same curriculum we've been working on, but you submit your challenge and you turn in a verified contract and the URL to your app, which Scaffold outputs very easily. And so you're taking on these challenges, but what you're really doing is building up your Web3 portfolio. Let me log in as me here. Let's see, how do I navigate MetaMask? Let me log in as me and show kind of what this looks like from the other side. Man, I'm zoomed way in. But what I end up seeing here is I can see submissions, and here's all the people turning in their challenges, and I can go grade those and provide feedback. And then I can, see all the builders and create a little social network here of like the activity feed of everyone taking on the different challenges. And then from these challenges, they'll probably take on something bigger, but it's just like an education pipeline for now. I feel like it could be handy. And if you are a Web2 developer, Web2 developers, tell them to speedrun Ethereum. That's my strong.
We got a comment question from an enterprise Web2 developer. I'm new to the dev space in general and the goal of becoming a dev. Come from a lot of enterprise experience, but know where I want to transition. Any tips on how to get there? Will had a comment in the chat as well for you to say, this is so awesome stuff. Do this speed run. If this is too advanced for you to start, there's a free code camp resource that the YouTube is almost at 1 million views. I just found out today from Patrick. So go click on that. Let's get him up to 1 million. But it's Patrick's full-on, this is one of the landmark hallmark developer resources for me, Patrick, because now I can just send this to people. Like, what do I do? Oh, here, just go to this. Oh, my house.
Am I in the right place?
Not quite. So if you here, we'll do a little switch arena.
There we go.
Oh wait, you got it? I'll put you back.
I didn't. You got it.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say, everyone 100% should check out Austin's stuff. Scaffold ETH, and so a little teaser. I pretty much already teased this a whole bunch. I'm working on the hard hat edition of the free code camp video that I made, and there's definitely gonna be a little Scaffold ETH in there because that is a critical piece of you learning the whole world of blockchain here. But yeah, let me do a quick share screen as well. I'm in the middle of an ad. If you go to YouTube and you literally just type
great video right there. That blockchain video is so good, dude.
The Anders one. Oh my god, that one's so good. It's
how many views?
It's
like
that
classic,
one has
right?
All right, so
1 million. Oh, that's a different one.
We're geeking out. Oh no. So this is like that Anders tutorial is like part of this like hard.
Oh, it's in your video. I got it. So your video is about to 1 million. Damn, dude,
so
that's
this one's
a lot.
907. I'm thinking we're gonna hit 1 million before the end of the year, which is exciting. But so cool.
So 1 million EOY. Here we go.
There's Anders Brownworth, is that his name? This guy, yeah. Blockchain 101, 1.8 million views. This is like a fantastic video on like learning, like, okay, what is a signed transaction? What is a private key? Like this is for stuff. I recommend this video to people who are like, hey, I don't want to be a coder, but like, is this cryptography stuff legit? And I go, this video will teach you really the basics of like every single blockchain, which is like fantastic. And then so like that exact example is used in here because it's so phenomenal. Like it's just like perfect. It's a perfect video if there ever was one.
But also to lead into this, like your video almost has 1 million views. My best video has like 100,000. So like, just like you've 10x'd me already. This is another thing that I want to lean into the space here is that like new folks coming in, what does this dev environment look like? Like this mainstream movement that has happened in Web3 brings in guys like you and Nader, and it's like 10x or 100x what Austin can do. And it's just so freaking awesome that also has happened over the last year or two.
We are a community that benefits very much from collaboration, right? Like just the more people we can bring in, the more people that we can like do stuff like this, the better. And to be fair, Austin, this is hosted on the Free Code Camp YouTube. So that was the plug. That's why it's a little bit,
that's distribution, man. Distribution is distribution. Like figuring out distribution and taking it to 10x is the thing. Like, no, it doesn't matter where
it's combined though, right? Like
it's a team effort here.
The space has to get to a point where it's accepted, and the applications have to be, accepted because they're useful. And then once that happens, it enters into the public consciousness, and then Free Code Camp's like, yeah, well, sure, we'll do that. People ask for solidity, and then it compounds. So standing on the shoulders of giants, that's how we all got where we are here. Hey, but
everybody's thinking education right now. Like education is big.
Here's one from Will. What are the biggest gotchas for Web 2 devs learning blockchain and Web 3 devs? Mostly avoid loops in Solidity. Patrick, you just had a tweet about that this morning. Is like constantly look for reentrancy bugs. But what are some of those big gotchas? Austin, maybe start with you. You've been talking to a lot of people in tutorials and that sort of thing.
This is a really good question, and I would love to wrap through this with you guys too, because it's fun to kind of go through some of these things. So let's just think of it like an asynchronous slow database, but it's super freaking expensive, right? First gotcha is it's super expensive to use. And the reason is like of other things, imagine that you're setting up your web server. You usually have one or two, you scale horizontally a little bit, traffic comes in, it falls over, you scale up a little bit more. Imagine the network of thousands of nodes, and all of those 1,000 nodes all hold a copy of your expensive slow database. And anytime you need to make a change, they all have to make that change, right? So plus proof of work and a bunch of other stuff that has to happen along the way. But just Web 2 mental model, super slow, and async too. Let's make it async because you send a write out to that database, but you never really know when it comes back because it has to get mined into a block, and it could get mined into the next block, or it could get mined into a block 10 blocks from now. So expensive, slow, asynchronous database. But a huge, like really cool trust thing is no one can control it. Basically, it's trustless in a way that like no one can get in and change that. We only are going to basically be trusting this code that is set to change it, and we can all see the code on Etherscan and everything. So there's public code that we can see that we could change of the database. I'm rattling here. Let's dive into slow database. Randomness is super hard because it's a deterministic blockchain. One thing I like to talk about is cron jobs. If you try to run and again, Chainlink keepers, this is going to be a perfect thing for Chainlink. But if you try to run a process like that has to happen nightly, right? Then you think as a Web 2 developer, I'll set up a service and it will check in with my smart contract every night. But actually, like that's going to fall over. It's not hella redundant, right? You need to think of this blockchain as hella redundant. If you're using an Oracle or you're using something that's like one machine, then it's not hella redundant, right? So this whole idea of getting randomness or getting, let's see, what else? Getting the cron job to check in it has to be incentivized. You have to incentivize this giant network of adversarial folks to check in on your vending machine. You have a big red button on your vending machine that says you can push this once every 24 hours, and if you do, I'll pay you $100. And that's how you make your cron job work, right? And of course, keepers are probably more advanced, and you can use a Chainlink keeper, and we're here with Chainlink, so like that's a thing that we could chill. But Yeah, so everything's a transaction. Everything is asynchronous, slow, expensive. Trust is awesome. Everything has to be like super decentralized. You can't have any central point of failure, or it'll get you. Another gotcha is decimals, 18 decimals, right? You see when someone says 1 ETH, that's actually 1 times 10 to the 18 way, and that takes a little bit for you to figure out because there's this EVM that needs to be super simple, and it doesn't want to f around with floating point math. What else? What other gotchas?
No, early this year, I was editing these, hackathon pieces for the Chainlink blog, and when we go through and like there's code snippets, and I'm trying to make sure they're a little bit tight and organized, and there's these insane-o numbers. I'm like, I don't know what you guys are on about. I had to read up on that. I wasn't even trying to do anything, but yeah, watch out, floating point.
Yeah, there were a couple of like exploits is the wrong word, but people were like, "Oh my god, this cryptocurrency token market cap has exploded," and it was like, "Oh no, you just the decimal's in the wrong place. It's over here."
Yeah,
I think that happened like a few times this year actually, which was pretty humorous. Oh, go ahead.
I was thinking we should talk about why it's so cool, like what we're here for. We're talking about a slow, shitty database, and we've said that trust is kind of cool.
What are the worst parts
what are the good things? Yeah, what are the good things here? And I want to like zoom in on a single line of solidity can create an entirely new financial mechanism, or a entirely new ownership pattern. Or the thing that is really cool here is we have this layer that's working for us and allowing us to write just a couple of rules and have a whole decentralized app run because of those couple of rules. And the only thing that anyone has to trust is that couple of rules. And that's a system that we can build on trustlessly, permissionlessly, very like freely. Anyone can get at that. So there's a good thing here.
I like to talk about market makers here. In traditional finance, the market makers are the people who have an arrangement with the markets, with the NASDAQ or with the Dow or with whatever exchange it is, who provide an immense amount of liquidity and they skim fees off the top, and that's their role. Who are they? I don't know. I'm just a guy. I don't know who they are. So who's a market maker in an AMN, on DeFi, on Sushi or Uni or whatever it is? It's whoever wants to be. It's whoever has those assets and can participate, and it's segmented up. So you can have, millions of people participate small amounts and create a market. That the permissionlessness, because of the trust factor, enables anybody to be able to participate given the funds. That's like this paradigm shift in thinking about who's allowed to participate, who's allowed to stop things. And that's why, right? There's this big database that's asynchronous. Is anybody can participate, anybody should be allowed to participate, and that's right. A goal of the space is constantly decentralizing more, making things more accessible.
The liquidity providers thing reminded me of we like to make we want to make a gambling app, but not on mainnet. So we're making what we're calling the Kovan Casino, which will be some like gambling games on Kovan just for fun. And one of the weird kind of discoveries of making this is that you can basically allow anyone to participate in being the house. Like they're basically just liquidity providers for the casino, and the casino isn't even an element, right? It's not even a thing. There's a smart contract, and someone can be the house and someone can be the player, and you can be the house by providing liquidity, and then you'll get those liquidity tokens that you can withdraw for just like in a DEX, the fees you make. But in this case, it'd be the fees you make from the house on the take. And it's such a strange, like, oh, there's like you provide liquidity by being the house, and anyone can be the house, and you're just a fraction of the house, and there's 1,000 other people that are the other fractions of the house of the Solidity or the Kovan Casino. Is VRF on Kovan? That I feel like that's going to be a key component. Okay, good.
Absolutely on Kovan.
Man. So that's exciting. I want to play that, man.
Yeah, right.
So there, I feel like we probably go on and on and on actually about the good things about smart contracts, because that's kind of like why we're in this space. But I do want to be a little bit forward looking, especially because we've already been talking for a half hour. Felix asks kind of a question which leads into something that I wanted to talk about, wanted to do. So we talked about some of the cool things for this year, 0.8 Solidity, some of the different tools that came out. The question I want to ask, and actually I want to do a little fun exercise because I think it's fun. All three of us on a piece of paper We'll write the top, and then I have to. I knew I was going to ask this question, and I still didn't bring any paper.
Mine's going to be on digital notes. Yeah,
all right,
that's
perfect.
Okay. I have a notepad here. Yeah.
So ask or put down the top 3 things you're most excited for 2022 in this space. Top 3 things, developer wise, just the whole space wise, whatever you want it to be. Top 3 things of next year, and then we'll flip at the same time. Comment section to everybody who's in the comments. Hello, welcome to the chat. Same thing. I'm post in the comments what you're most excited for about 2022, developer wise, not developer wise. I feel like for this one, I'm not going to put Solidity 09, but maybe I will. I don't know. Let me find a piece of paper and write this down. I'm going to use another letter because I have like 18 pieces of junk mail on my desk that I haven't gone through yet. And then everyone who's here, yes, very curious to see what you have to think as well. And obviously, a little bit of this is going to be a little speculative because we're assuming.
Here's a little leak, though. Yesterday, Alex Rowan from the Chainlink Labs team, I mentioned him a little before, but he was on with me and we were talking stuff, and he is working on CCIP type thing. So if that's something you're interested in, Felix, you can go back and watch yesterday's hour-long episode of us talking about a variety of things. But we do get into CCIP a little bit. No, I mean, nothing super secret is announced or anything like that, but it's a neat conversation. I learned a little bit, so that's fun.
Yeah, definitely. Alex is an absolute beast. I'm so sad I missed that one. But all right, so the 3 of us, are you ready?
So ready.
I'm ready.
On the count of 3, we're going to flip up our letters or digital notes or whatever writing utensil we found on our desk, and we're going to flip up the top 3 things we're most excited for 2022 on the count of 3. Here we go. 1, 2. Wait, Austin. Wait, where?
He's gonna share his screen.
I'm gonna paste mine into the chat, and then I'll just so it's fair. I'm gonna paste it into the private chat so you guys can see it, but we'll cover it. I don't have anything writing. What am I, a caveman? I do have a pen here. I'm okay. I'm gonna paste it in the chat.
We'll be paper. Is here we go. In the future.
Got a Chainlink pen, so I'm like repping it.
Austin doesn't touch pencils. He doesn't eat food. He only takes pills in the future.
That's the singularity. That's what I'm looking forward to. Mine is just the singularity. That's right.
All right. On the count of 3, and Austin's gonna paste this in. 1, 2, 3.
All
right. What do we have here? Ooh. Okay.
We got some good ones here. ZK rollups. I should have done ZK rollups. Okay. So, I did L2 direct ramps. So direct ramps into L2 multiplied by mainstream adoption is my number 1. My number 2 is POS killing the eco narrative so we can stop hearing that. And then my number 3 is tens of thousands of new developers coming in and being able to stand on the shoulders of the thousands of devs that came in this year.
L2 direct ramp, mainstream adoption of POS, and killing ETH echo narrative. 1,000 available standing out. Okay, sorry.
It's all one thing there, but those are 3 things. These are 3 separate things. I like someone just now tunes in, like, what the fuck are they talking about?
What is going on?
It's a code snippet. Put some brackets around there.
Yeah.
All right. So wait. So we actually, I think. Wait, Andy, what were yours? Did we all say something about
ETH Denver? He did ETH Denver first.
I'm really excited about ETH Denver, and the reason I'm excited about ETH Denver, a bunch of reasons, but DAOs have grown so much this year that I think in the next couple of months, people are really going to be experimenting, and ETH Denver is just going to be. I feel like it's going to be this home for them, and they're going to show up in force. And how many DAOs you're a part of that are going to be at ETH Denver? It's going to be a weird social mixing thing. I'm looking forward to that, and I haven't met many of my ETH Denver DAO pals in real life, so I'm looking forward to that as well. But I do think that's going to be a big event early in the year to kind of set the tone for the rest.
My DAO awakening event was MCon. Did either of you guys make MCon or watch the video? There's a video from Amin from Spank Chain talking at MCon, and he is talking about how like Ethereum's product market fit is basically like the coordination failure at a nation state level, and nation states coordinating is what we'll actually use this for to do good in the world. Like it's a great talk. And DAOs, and there's a lot of other things around DAOs, and it's so many people in so many different DAOs. But also, yes, ETH Denver. ETH Denver's on the list. What was next on your list?
Chainlink releases.
Okay, is that what was on first on yours, Patrick?
Mine was a specific Chainlink release, which, and that's why I said it's a little speculative, because I'm like, fingers crossed, like 20, I don't know is the real answer.
Yeah,
but
I'm fudging on a bunch of stuff, but like that's my job, is to talk when a project integrates a new Chainlink release. I get to talk to them and talk about why and like what does it enable, and so that's kind of my thing. That's what motivates me on this channel and in the space, and so that's always exciting, getting to talk about those new use cases. And yes, I'm excited for very many of them.
I think CCIP in particular, though, is like, can I get that now?
What is it? What's a TLDR?
Yeah. So CCIP is cross-chain interoperability protocol. So basically, to one blockchain, another blockchain is just data. And what is Chainlink perfect at? Relaying data in a decentralized context. And this just, it goes to like everything, like layer twos, like, Optimism, Arbitrum, Ethereum, like they can all be connected a lot easier. Any other EVM compatible chain or not, or really any other blockchain that needs to transfer assets, right now, all token bridges are centralized in some regard. I've used a couple token bridges, and every single time I do, I literally am like, please don't rug me. Like, please,
please don't let this be the time. I don't want.
I hope my funds show up on the other side.
Yeah, and there's a moment of like, it's not on either side. Like it goes in, and then there's a moment of silence, and that moment can be a few minutes, and then it comes out. I look
at my spouse, and I think about what I've done, and then I look back, and everything's okay.
Yep.
It's not just token bridges, though. It's token bridge infrastructure and protocol, so people will be able to build their own, and it's infrastructure to do it in a decentralized way, and it's compute too. It's commands. And so thinking about executing command on one chain or an L2 and having it execute somewhere else,
or having your ownership layer on L1 but your game layer on L2, where it's like all these NFTs are sold on L1, but like who owns the NFT at the current time? And as soon as I move it on L1, then it should show up over on L2, but it doesn't. It's bridged and it's weird. But if you can have an information bridge there where I can say, ownership here, but you can actually see the pieces moving around over here on a quicker, faster L2.
Yep. Precisely. And so that's really exciting. And that definitely one of the Chainlink products I'm also hopeful for. Patrick, looking forward to whatever that ends up being.
That's going to be just endless tutorials of me being like, here's how you send this command to a different chain now. Here's how you send this command now. Which can be a blast. So one that Austin and I both had on our lists, kind of. Austin said, hey, like, the POS eco thing finally like working out and people realizing. So I had ETH2 on my list, which in my mind is like kind of the same. It's the same.
We're not calling it ETH2 though anymore. It's a merge. It's execution and
right. I actually didn't know we're not calling it ETH2 anymore.
Yeah, I think the narrative is it's the merge now, and it's not ETH2. It's sort of like we're swapping out there's the execution layer and the consensus layer, and we're swapping out the consensus layer for a new consensus layer, but the execution layer will continue on exactly the same. So it's more of like the merge. But what do you call that future? Like you want to call it ETH2 because it's ETH2, but it's like it's hard for me to get over that naming. So ETH2 is definitely still.
Well, I actually
a name.
I think that for like a normie's perspective, I feel like that does make more sense though, right? Because I've had so many people like I get home for Christmas, they're like, yo, I'm so excited for ETH2, and they're like, what? So does my ETH not count anymore? And then it's like, well, no, it's because it's and so that makes sense to me why it's being switched to the merge, because yes, it's still ETH. It's just what you just said. You're swapping out some stuff here.
And you shouldn't notice it, honestly. Like if they do it correctly, and they will, which is crazy because they can't fail because they're doing it. But if they do it correctly, then it basically like you won't notice. I think things will just keep happening, but like it will go from, instead of costing 99.99% more electricity, it will cost that less electricity. Yep. Everyone can run a whole mining farm on a little machine like this that's using hardly any electricity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I want to run it on my old phone. I'm going to use one of those Nimbus nodes. Run up those status.
That's another client. We need more client diversity. If you are running a node, you should be running some of those minority clients. So
Deku gang over here.
Failure. Yeah.
I'm not on the. I'm not on. Which one are you on? Which one are you doing?
What am I? I basically have Prism and Geth here on this one, but I'm working quickly on setting up a multiplex system where it's like I have 2 different ETH1 nodes and 2 different ETH2 nodes, and they're both figuring out like who's the farthest along.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm tinkering with a better node setup for sure.
I'm with it. One of the things that terrifies me about like tinkering with the node setup is I think back to like the first person on the ETH2 who got slashed because they tried to make like a redundant system and then they lost.
That's where you have to be careful.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And that makes, so I run a ton of different blockchain nodes, and that's something that always terrifies me. I'm like, all right,
I take them all down when I bring a new one up. Seriously, seriously. I only have 2, but I take my cloud one down and then I fire this one up just in case somehow I've copied something wrong, and I bring up 2 at the same time. I make sure I bring up the one, and I make sure it's the right one, and then I bring up the other one, and it's the right one. Yeah,
smart.
You do not want to mess that up.
And it's great that the L1s are designed in a way where, if you go down for, solid mint, there's 7,999 other nodes. So it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And you just bleed a little bit. Everyone's like, aren't you getting slashed by having that off? No.
Yeah.
It like gains a little bit and then it bleeds a little bit. It's fine. Yep.
Absolutely.
What was your number 3, Patrick?
Mine was ZK rollups, which is another one. We had a similar
like Dark Forest. There's so much cool ZK application stuff that's going to start happening.
Like, like for me, like I always think like, okay, like what's one of the biggest problems of adoption in the space period? Okay, it's fees and scalability. How do we just make one of the ways that we can have more chains? One of the ways we can have a chain with these ZK rollups, which are like basically pseudo sharding, right? So to me, ZK rollups just in general are like I've spoken to, so we're actually going to have Angela from ZK Sync on Friday which is going to be really exciting. And I like pinged her like back in like June or something like it. And I was like, hey, so when are you guys done with smart contracts? Because I'm trying to launch some stuff and it's really expensive and I don't want to have to pay this. Can you guys be done? And like that, I'm so excited for ZK, rollups, because everything's just going to be faster, cheaper, and just very exciting.
Are you going to deploy something on Optimism tomorrow? Whitelist.
What's happening tomorrow? Am I missing something? What's going on tomorrow?
All you have to do is take your EVM compatible deployment network and point it at mainnet Optimism and hit deploy, and it will go and it will work and it will be fast and cheap.
GG. I'm game. I've done a whole bunch of Arbitrum work. Arbitrum's another one.
I'm bullish on both of those. I'm not meaning to support one or the other. I'm just saying that like tomorrow is the day, and that's like a really cool thing. Like a no whitelist is very exciting for me.
I talked to Carl and Ben a few weeks ago about they had this EVM equivalence post. And so if you're a dev and you are using Solidity on ETH1 and you're thinking about what to do, just Google Optimism EVM equivalence, and they've got a great blog post about making it as easy as possible just to make it seamless for that developer experience. And you can find Chainlink to podcast as well if you want to hook me up with one more download. I ripped Ben about his singing as well, so it's pretty fun one. I'll find a link and drop it in there. But that EVM equivalence and whitelisting tomorrow, that should be pretty exciting stuff.
This is the only thing I'm a maximalist about. I'm an EVM maximalist. It's just because the tools are so hard to learn and so hard to translate that just like make it EVM compatible. Spend a little bit of extra time and make it EVM compatible so I can just turn the satellite from Rinkeby or mainnet and point it at yours and shoot it and it will go.
It's like it was one of the things I'm like, all right, Moonbeam is doing something absolutely correct. They're like, hey, we're gonna be Polkadot, but like everyone's on EVM, so we're just gonna do that. And they've been incredibly successful because of it. All right, so we have 9 minutes left.
No, hold on. We just got like 40 viewers, and Muhammad just said he's new. So hey, everybody, welcome. I'm Andy. This is Patrick, and this is Austin, and we're talking about kind of the year in code and developers and what's cool. Also, we just talked about kind of what we're excited about coming up next. We have a little bit of overlap. Patrick and I are being festive as all hell, and Austin is trying, but we didn't prep him. We didn't tell him, so he's slaying a Christmas Moloch. No, Christmassy astronaut slaying Moloch. And I got a festive background, so that's what we're doing. We're hanging out now. Patrick, now you can say your thing.
Yes, thank you for the tee up there. So we have about 8 minutes left, and right after this, I'm actually jumping to the Morales Avalanche Hackathon to do a workshop on Chainlink. So if you're in that hackathon, if you're building EVM stuff, as we were just talking about, go over there, watch our workshop, and build something really amazing stuff. But I was going to say, Andy, I think there was one or two on your list that we didn't talk about. I think we covered most of Austin. And
what was after ETH Denver?
So
what was after ETH Denver?
Chainlink releases, and so that was covered. My third one was stealth mode DeFi projects. This is something that
is this ZK too?
No,
ZK also?
It's like it's just a general term for something I don't know yet, and I don't know what it's going to be. But I feel like this year, one of the coolest things that happened was DeFi projects like figured out a new mechanic and figured out how to execute it and incentivize it that I just never would have thought of it. And it was an innovative take and a twist. Alchemex and Ohm and and Tokamak and these sort of things where it's like, okay, we're going to do a take on DeFi and do this new thing. And I don't know what that's going to be for next year, but there's so many new devs and there's so many creative people and gigabrains in this space that somebody's going to come up with something. And I love seeing what those new mechanics are, just seeing like how does that balance out incentives and user acquisition and liquidity and all that. So whatever it is, I'll open up a present.
And there it will be.
And there it will be. And,
MEV,
and that'll be exciting.
MEV is an interesting thing and how we navigate MEV in going forward.
I also found the link to my chat with the Optimism Fellows, EVM equivalence. I'll put that in the chat as well. Oh man, I did V instead of Control V. Look at what a noob I am.
What a noob. Can we put the Ethereum speedrun in? I'll paste it into chat.
Here.
Oh please, yeah.
And maybe eth.build. But for the new folks joining, you can go to eth.build and get the fundamentals. And then if you're a Web 2 developer looking to learn more, check out the speedrun. And it's just a good thing. If you're a Web 2 developer and you're already established, like a lot of your knowledge will transfer to Web 3. Yes. And this curriculum should make it really easy to kind of like build something and learn how everything works by building a few things. So check out that speedrun.
Absolutely. So Thanks, we have about 6 minutes left here. And then I got to jump right off and help more devs build more cool blockchain things, which is super exciting. What do we want to wrap up this with, or even are there any? Actually, go ahead, Andy. And
first, we're doing this every day this week. It is like an end of year coding chit chat wrap up. We had Nader from the Graph Engine Node on Monday. We had Alex from Chainlink Labs yesterday. We've got Austin today. Tomorrow, who do we have, Patrick?
We have Rachel from Good Ghosting, which is one of these DeFi protocols that's doing some pretty cool things. And then on Friday, we have Angela from ZK Sync, which is L2s and ZK rollups and all this amazing stuff that we were just talking about.
This has been immensely fun and successful too. So I don't know, maybe we'll do a little bit more like end of week wrap ups, Patrick, because Patrick and I are always looking for an excuse to hang out with each other.
Pretty much.
Dude, Loogies on Optimism. So if you go to, I think it's optimistic.loogies.io.
I put this on screen for anybody who follows often. You should absolutely know what Loogies on Optimism means. Great.
Yes, exactly. I challenge you tomorrow to build something weird with Loogies on Optimism because it's cheap and free. Like, so we have this whole thing called like a Loogie tank, and it's an NFT that owns other NFTs, and all of these NFTs are SVG NFTs. So they're rendering the SVG from the smart contract. And so what we found was, let's put all of these cool SVG NFTs inside of another NFT that's a tank. And so then that tank can own a bunch of these NFTs that are swimming around, and the render function on the children is public. So the parent, to render the parent, when you say, what do you look like from the smart contract, it actually loops through all of its children and renders you a picture of what it looks like in SVG format from the smart contract. But it's like super expensive to put together a tank and send it around on mainnet. So we're super excited to be able to have this like weird, layer of abstract, like everyone forking this thing and playing with it, and all the fun things you can do with just interoperability on Ethereum, but cheaper and faster and quicker over on an L2.
Absolutely.
They're just Loogies with a smile. Sorry, go ahead, Patrick.
No, you're good. It is a ton of fun, and they're very cute. So 3 minutes left here. I was gonna say, are there any last kind of closing thoughts that we have about either 2021 or 2022 that's coming up? from a developer's perspective, or really from a blockchain perspective, I keep feeling bad saying, "Oh, from a developer's perspective," and then Andy's like, "Well." From any perspective,
looking forward to the next few minutes when we close this, we've got some people in here who are new and starting great conversations in the chat. Go to the Chainlink Discord. This is the place to meet folks, start having those conversations. The remnants of the hackathon are still there. So going forward, Chainlink Discord is looking to blow up even more. That is the place to go. So Mohammed, please continue this conversation. Salt, go to the Discord and talk with other people, speculate about when CCIP. That's what I'm looking forward to today. That's my line in the sand.
And the ecosystem is growing and getting product market fit, and we're getting mainstream adoption in some places, and we're hearing weird things from weird places, and the eco stuff is tough, but we'll get through some of the FUD here, and some of these really innovative layers are going to really start clicking with people. Once we have mainstream builders building for mainstream audiences, it's going to be really neat. So we'll see. I don't know. You back in the day, Joe Lubin had a bet with like some other dude about like users on Ethereum, and it was like a very public bet. They're like in a place, they're like on a panel, and they're betting like, will Ethereum have this many users by this day? And it was
cowboy
like
hat guy.
It was the cowboy hat guy, and it was kind of like absurd that we would get that many users, and it has happened. Like we have seen it in the last year, which is so crazy, and it's just so awesome to get to watch this happen. And we're still very early in all of this.
Absolutely. And then I just want to say one quick thing. Every developer who's new in the space or who's watching this stream, who might have questions or might be like, hey, what's going on? What is this? 2022 is going to be an insane year. The fact that we were saying, like we're going to have these conversations with people for the holidays, and they're still going to be like, what is smart contracts and what is all that stuff? Most people still don't understand what's coming. We're still incredibly early, and everybody watching this can be a part of history in building this next generation of finance, of art, of governance, of all these industries where blockchain and cryptographically provable smart contracts make them better. So I'm incredibly excited for everyone to come on and jump on. And with that, I do have to jump off because I got to go over to the Morales Hackathon, which anybody who's looking for a perfect excuse to start building, well, yeah, definitely go watch some off.
Today is the day.
Do a little drink in there.
I'm head over behind.
I saw Natter in the chat too. Shout out to Natter.
Oh, what's up, Natter? Natter was here on what's up, Natter?
There he is.
He was here on Monday. But yeah, I got to jump off. If you want to jump over to the Morales Hackathon,
we'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm actually cooking a turkey. That's how festive I am today. We'll see you guys later. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you all.
Oh yeah, wait, I'm gonna do my snazzy thing. Ready? Bye, everyone.